Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Kikai Sentai Zenkaiger episode 18. So this was definitely a filler episode, but it wound up being more enjoyable than I thought, because it's kind of one of those trope episodes where a monster makes characters fall in love, and while the first half had some amusing bits within it, I thought it was just gonna mostly be kind of a useless filler episode, and even though there was some funny stuff, like I just said, I was mostly just kind of over it and already annoyed and just, you know, I didn't really need any of this. But then the second half wound up doing kind of a funny Jetman tribute, which was, well, really funny. So when the episode starts, we meet Kaito's friend, who is literally a Karen, and he kind of knew her and had a crush on her. They had a crush on each other in middle school or something like that. And she's going to be important to the episode because she winds up having sort of a relationship with Rune. And then the monster of the week shows up, who's the Cupid type monster, and he makes all these characters fall in love. So you have Gaon and Juran, and then you have two Kaiser and this one chick with like, or not, it's a Kikanoid girl with like spaghetti hair that tackles him before he can finish singing and dancing, which is great because I love two Kaiser, but I seriously hate the singing and dancing. But there's those two, and then later it's Majin and two Kaiser's sister, and then there is one of the funny bits was they made it seem like Zenkaiger was going to fall in love with his grandmother and pull a full-on fry, but it was actually the ice cream he was in love with. So you basically get a bunch of antics of these characters being in love, and you have Rune with the Karen girl who falls in love with him after seeing his little poster at the library because he's a Karen about libraries, basically. And then the monster turns it on its head later and like takes him out of the honeymoon phase to fighting phase, and then they start having conflict. And when the Rangers go off to fight everybody later, you then have Stacy, who's been kind of lurking, do an unnecessary flip like Roy Harper over the fence to go get some food and talk to the grandmother, which was kind of funny. And then when they get to the battle, we do another funny specialized roll call. Like last week we did one for Majin being mad and Juran being invisible, and I mentioned how I really thought that was funny because it reminded me, it was not only funny, but it also reminded me of Kiramager, where they would do specialized roll call for the special episodes. And that's again what they did here, which I thought was pretty funny. They did like a heartbreak version, like love is over, and they all had unique little sayings depending on what type of heartbreak they were talking about. So that was overall pretty funny. And then this is where the episode, up to this point I was like, okay, this is like entertaining, but it's whatever, I don't care what's happening. The funny part of the episode kicked in right after this when Not Navi was like, for some reason I think you should use the Jetman gear. I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny, because like one of the main storylines in that was the love triangle, and I thought the gear was just going to kind of make everyone get along again or something, but what it actually ends up doing is doing a parody recreation of the Jetman finale. So you have them at the wedding with Majin and Zenkaiger representing red and white, and then you have the monster representing Guy's role, where he's got the roses and he's on the way to the wedding, and then he ends up getting stabbed by Rune's pickaxe instead of, well, he doesn't really get stabbed because they can't show that because this is like a different time and a very different series, which is why I'm surprised they did this tribute to this specific ending in Zenkaiger, which is like completely on the opposite end of the Sentai spectrum in terms of the finale. And then after he gets stabbed, he winds up on the bench where one of the most idiotic Sentai deaths of all time happened, where a guy ruined his friends' lives forever by making them remember their wedding day as the day their friend bled out on a bench. But my god, was it freaking hilarious that not only was he on the bench, but then they finish him off on the bench. Wait, the finisher and destroy him on the bench, which was just hilarious. Like, it was so unexpectedly funny and just kind of a funny tribute to Jetman, and I feel like if no one's seen Jetman finale, they're going to be really confused about what's going on unless they've heard about it. But I just thought it was great, it was funny, it was a perfect type of scene for an anniversary season. And then we get our mecha battle where the love gimmick is used to sort of make the mecha fight over each other, but then it winds up backfiring on him. And then the ending scenes are Rune kind of realizing that his feelings for Karen were real, which is kind of a character beat for him. I'll be kind of curious to see if that comes back later and in what form. And then Stacy, who's still at the shop, he sees a picture of Kaito's family and looks at it with sort of recognition or confusion. So I'm fairly certain that they're going to be related or something somehow. I've kind of gone back and forth on whether they're going to be related or whether, like, she literally is just reminding him of somebody. I feel like there's just too big of clues that they're going to somehow be interconnected. And it was kind of a nice, more important note to end the episode off on. And next week's going to be the debut of the super modes with the G-Ranger tribute and stuff like that, so that should be cool. But yeah, This episode I wound up liking more than I thought. It took me on a journey, because like I said at the beginning, I was like, yeah, there's some funny parts, like him falling in love with ice cream, but I just wasn't into it. And then the Jetman tribute was so funny, and it completely turned the episode around for me, and I thought it ended on a solid note of sort of furthering some storylines a little bit. So yeah, I was going to give this a 3, but because of how great the Jetman tribute thing was, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, at least for the second half. I almost want to calibrate it to a 3, but I'm in a good mood based on the second half. So this wound up being a better episode than I thought it was going to be when I started it. But what did you guys think of it? What did you think of the Jetman tribute? Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.